Welcome everyone. Today we have another new episodes with our new guest, and he is actually young, and he's a very uh, uh, he is very talented with his different kind of idea, especially the policy and the politics. He has a very interest on particular points. We have our some other guests. They will join step by step, and especially we do focus on today about youth policy and youth contribution for the global community. So hello, how are you? Can you please introduce yourself with our World Talent Economy Forum?
Hello, my name is Logan Coulter. I'm from the United States. I live in Denver, Colorado. Um, just woke up. Rock time.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Excellent. So basically, like example, today we want to focus on the youth policy and youth related things. You are representing youth community, and how do you want to define youth community, youth powers, especially in the COVID period? How do you want to think about them?
Let's see. I kind of want to. I want to redefine how the youth are viewed in politics because we're kind of pushed aside a lot in a lot of political conversations because we haven't been here this long. It's almost like a stigma that we've only been here for so long. We could not possibly have figured out how it works. So I hope that in the future youth are more listened to. At least our opinions are heard more.
Yes, I understand. Joshua, are you available now? I cannot see you. Okay. I think few of our other guests gonna join today. Let's focused on our discussions. Yes. Can you hear me? Joshua, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Can you please introduce yourself and your project with our audience?
My name is My name is Joshua Daniel. I'm a robotic engineer. Currently SQL device which can help
Okay,
track
Joshua.
which can help
Joshua.
monitor and
Joshua.
yeah.
I cannot hear you clearly.
Yeah.
I cannot hear you clearly. Uh, can you check your internet connection? I'm gonna discuss with our other audience.
Okay.
Okay. We have our new guest, Sharmin Akhtar. She is right now. She is a PhD scholar. She is doing PhD right now in Malaysia. Can you please introduce with our World Talent Economy Forum's audience? We have our friend Logan from USA. We have Joshua from Nigeria, and we have Sharmin from Malaysia.
Okay, hello everyone.
Yes.
I'm Sharmin. I'm actually originally from Bangladesh, but I'm residing in Malaysia at the moment. I did my bachelor in accounting, then master's in Islamic finance, and PhD in business management. I'm currently doing, so I'm not a PhD scholar, just to quote it right, yeah. And I do work with some NGOs for refugees and migrant workers. That's just my own personal interest that I currently working at. Yeah.
Yes, this is very interesting that you are focusing on the migrant worker, refugee, and these kind of things. I want to focus on today the youth community. You are representing youth community from Bangladesh. You are highly educated, and most important thing is that people like you, like Logan, like Joshua, like Sharmin, you have your own point of view about youth developments. In COVID period, we have a lot of challenges right now. can you come up with what kind of challenges the youth community right now we have, and what your point of views about this COVID situation, especially unemployment rate is increasing, especially healthcare systems. Malaysia doing goods in COVID periods, but example, where are you from? Even where I'm from, country like Bangladesh or India or Pakistan, they have serious problem with this healthcare system. Can you please introduce few of the issues and what's happening these kind of countries with our audience?
Are you who is supposed to answer that? Is it are you referring?
Charmin, yes, I'm asking you.
Okay, okay. For youth development, right? There are a lot of issues that we can discuss. Since you highlighted few, could be one is unemployment, especially the fresh grad or even people with 1 or 2 years working experience. Because of this COVID, right? A lot of companies got affected. It's not only big ones, but small, medium company as well. And they all like even working also like they're working from home as well. So the business affected so much that a lot of companies has frozen their hiring. So it's very hard for a young grad to get a job, and that may also lead, depression because you just finish your graduation, and then on the top, where lockdowns everywhere, you can't even move out of your house, stay inside home, and get depressed. Um, uh, just like it's just from my own personal understanding that it's very normal. Just take it as a phase of life that we all go through. So it's okay that you're not being employed for this year, probably like 6, 7 months, or even a year. You are unemployed. That doesn't mean that your skill development stops. There are a lot of ways for you to improve, a lot of online courses, especially like skill-based one that you can go for, like U Academy. You can also like go for software, like like I'm learning one SAP software program. It's a
Mhm.
5 weeks program. It's online, complete online exams and practices and everything. So it's okay that you can even utilize this and earn these certificates that can eventually help you later. So this is one way of seeing it. And at the same time, I do understand that you need money in your pocket for you to survive, especially, if you are staying away from parents, that you've got to subsidize your own cost of food, accommodation, and everything. Uh, there are plenty of freelancing stuff you can pick up also. It's very hard when you're completely like a opener, because you don't have that history of doing freelancing. Probably your freelancing is not an online popular one yet, so it's very hard for you to bid and get those projects. Just try one or two with very low bid. That's where you build your reputation or image. I know it's hard, but on a personal connection you can also utilize those, right? So that's how you will be yourself like busy with work, and your skill and learning will be improved.
Mhm. Excellent, excellent. Logan, you are from Colorado, from USA, and you come from the different economical aspects and different backgrounds, and definitely everything is different compared to Asia Pacific. So, how do you want to share present conditions of youth from USA?
Let's see. I don't know. I feel like maybe the condition here is a little bit better for youth. I don't know for sure, but I know that when I go up to town hall meetings, I'm not necessarily ignored. Um, I can share my opinions, even though they might go right over the heads of the officials up there. They at least heard them. Uh, right now, I work in a nursing home, so
Hmm.
COVID has really been strict on us, at
Hmm.
least at my job.
Hmm.
Here in Colorado, we've done a pretty good job at keeping the outbreaks from getting too big. We haven't had super massive spikes up until recently because of colleges starting. Um, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought.
Hmm.
Uh, could you continue the question
Okay,
though?
okay, okay, okay. My question is very simple. We want to know more about the US conditions and US youth conditions, especially in terms of jobs, job area and business area. We want to know what's going on in USA, inside USA.
All right. Another big thing, because of COVID, um, our unemployment has rose immensely, and a lot of that is youth who have been
Mhm.
on like the lower end of the job spectrum, where they're not seen as important, I guess you could say. So when COVID hits, we're like the first ones to be laid off.
Mhm.
We're the first ones to be told, "Hey, we'll call you back when we need you. Um, Go sit in your apartment." I have multitudes of friends who are just still sitting in their apartments, no work, no unemployment. Um, their the unemployment benefits stopped weeks ago. They're kind of just living off of what they can get from like financial aid,
Mhm.
which is sad to say. So, and colleges, some colleges aren't even, they got canceled, the classes.
Mhm.
Um, so, and they're here in Denver, we're kind of doing a shift. We were already mostly online, but now I think they're going completely online because of when we started in-person classes, we had a huge outbreak, specifically here at CSU, Colorado State University.
Mhm.
Um, so in my case, I haven't lost any work. I was quarantined for a while. Um, in Denver, they made paid sick leave a right, so that's helped a lot of youth that have lost their
Mhm.
jobs to at least have some kind of income while they're working or while they're not working. And while COVID is keeping the industry low, we're talking about going back into lockdown. So again, that's going to be the youth probably that are going to be sitting in their apartments.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Okay. Joshua, can you hear me right now? Okay. Okay, Joshua, can you
Yeah,
hear
you right
me?
now.
Okay, can you please introduce your
Yeah,
condition
yeah.
from Nigeria? Like I know that you are very creative. You are trying to develop robot. Can you share your point of view that how you working from Nigeria? Joshua, we I cannot
It's
hear you
kind
clearly.
of difficult
You cannot, your
here
words are
for.
broken.
I can hear
Yes.
you.
No. No. I think you can you please
Like
check
I
your
said,
internet connection? Yes.
yeah, thank you.
Okay. I think they have internet problems. So I'm gonna discuss with you. Uh,
Okay.
okay, you come up with some of the very good idea about employment issue, creating how they can develop their skills, how they can think about their economical sustainabilities and other things. My question is that like a country like Bangladesh, you are from Bangladesh, right? Country like Bangladesh, that we do not have too much of social securities compared to, let's say, US citizen or
Western countries,
Canadian
yeah.
Western countries and other things.
Mhm.
We have to do a lot of hard work for survivals, and especially those who go abroad. You are not in your motherlands, you are outside, and you have to take a lot of challenges. So how you cope up with these situations, and what do you think, how actually country like Bangladesh, what we know that this kind of country, they have many rich people. On the other hand, we have many poor people. On the other hand, we have many talent people like you. So what do you think, what should be the educational policy country like Bangladesh, or how they can create more opportunity for youth, those who want to go abroad for study, or how we should think about that?
Um, okay. I assume this question is a very general question. It's not nothing to do with specifically during COVID time.
Hmm.
Um, So the question is, I do understand, developing country, and then the income disparity is really high. People are rich, who are rich are filthy rich. People who are poor are very poor. Uh, I think it's also like if you see the population in Bangladesh, like we have a huge portion is like lower middle class or middle class, right? This is
Hmm.
the group who got mostly affected. It's not only COVID, but in a general time as well. So because they don't have the capacity to send their kids to study abroad, so they always try, to get the best possible education from the public universities. But I'm not saying public universities education is bad, but probably in terms of how they uh, improve the skill is still there are a lot to improve in the system,
Hmm.
because they finish graduation, but a lot of skill wise they're behind. So in that regards, you got to figure it out. And I do believe a lot of Bangladeshi people, I mean, students are quite talented. I personally know a few of them. I mean, they got Commonwealth scholarship, Chevening scholarship. So what exactly we suppose I think we should be doing is we should promote, in our universities, that how they can apply for this sort of scholarship, and they're capable enough, because sometimes the moment when we heard about Harvard or even Oxford, right, we get just shocked, like even people like me, can we even study there? So we don't have that confidence level. uh, so that confidence level should be, inculcate from the student life, from universities as well. At the same time, we also have, especially in the people who study in public university, right, because we have very lack of exposure to English language. So that's why like sitting for an IELTS test and then scoring like a minimum that requires, sometimes it's hard for people who doesn't have exposure to English. Even I myself, if I talk about, when I left Bangladesh, I almost came with, like, you can say, zero English. Like I
Hmm.
have an English subject in my school, which I did study, but if you ask me, like, whether I could able to speak in English, I could able to converse and communicate or even understand the lectures, I wasn't able to. So, because I study in a Bengali medium school, so especially the student who study in public university, probably their language also a barrier. So these are the things could have been improved. At the same time, the world has been like, uh, moving so fast, especially the skills like, computer-based skills, software skills, Excel, and a lot of things that we don't have exposure. So the moment when we try in corporate level, that's where we go behind. So probably the school education should also, improve or include those skill-based things, that when you go onto practical work, you're not lacking behind. You don't only have the certificate and the knowledge from the book, but you also kind of know how to apply and perform better in the corporate world as well.
Hmm. Yes, Logan, what do you want to add from USA? I think you have some internet issues.
Yeah, sorry about that. My computer battery is kind of messed up, and if you move it, it just turns off. But so I kind of lost my train of thought. I was just trying to remind myself where I was at. I was talking about the youth. I wanted to say something. The younger youth, like grade school age, are being very adversely affected by this. At least here in Denver, they were trying to make the switch last year to all online for like middle school and younger. But
Hmm.
that's adversely affected the enrollment of a lot of students who haven't been able, who A, haven't had the computer, the internet, or B, their schools just didn't enroll them. I don't know if this is accurate, but didn't enroll them in a way that it stuck.
Hmm.
Um, so there's actually a lot of students here in Denver that aren't going to school right now.
Hmm.
And the school's um, season has been going on for a few months now. Um,
Hmm.
in the future, that I see that as adversely affecting not only the youth here, but down the road when they're entering high school and maybe college level, they were missing out on part of their education from this COVID era that they're going to remember about, and they're going to remember, oh, well, they're going to think, what did our officials do to help us in that time? Um, and I think it's going to paint a negative picture of what our government is capable and what they want to do for the youth, compared to them spending all this time and money to say like bail out industries when they could use it to fund COVID relief for education, schools. It also is affecting a lot of sports. The mask mandates forcing soccer players and other high school sports to almost be canceled, because it's hard to wear a mask when you're playing a sport, when you're being physically active, and it's also a requirement to wear the mask here. So where's the balance, I guess, and how where my questions are always, where's the line with a lot of these? Not as, and in America it's a little different. Our situation is a lot different, especially here in Denver compared to a lot of the other states. We never had like massive outbreaks. We had it pretty controlled. We flattened our curve pretty early. And the starting of school is what caused our most recent outbreaks, because we didn't have the guidelines in place. They focused so much on locking down businesses, locking down like the public transportation, that they kind of overlooked the students and the youth in our state.
Okay, understand. Joshua, can you hear me? Joshua, can you unmute yourself?
I think he's mute, yeah.
Okay, Joshua, I cannot unmute yourself. I think you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, he did already.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Can you hear you?
Okay. Just yes. As you are from innovative
Hello?
industry, yes. Joshua, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Joshua, like if your internet do not
Can you
work
hear me?
properly,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. We just want to visit some of your like robots, what you are preparing right now.
Yeah, this is stuff. We still working on improving this stuff. So here we have can you see? Yeah.
Joshua, sorry, Joshua, I need your help. I needed your help. We cannot hear you clearly. We cannot like communicate with you properly. Can you solve your internet issues?
Are you using Wi-Fi? Probably you could go near to the router.
Okay. No, sorry about that. Can you fix your things? I'm come back to you later. I come back to you because we cannot understand anything clearly. Okay. Sorry, I directly want to go to Sharmina, but there are one of the questions I think from our audience. He asked the questions that, hello everyone, what is the common factors in empowering youth through research. Anyway, uh, I know you are a researcher and you are a very good researcher. So, empowering youth, what does it mean to you? How you want to explain these things?
Okay. For me, empowerment is having a voice.
Mhm,
Empowerment is talking against the injustice happening. Sometimes the change may not be in our hand completely, but I do believe youth as a whole has like quite a cumulative voice because these youth aren't like very school kids. It's mostly people who graduated and who have enough, I mean, at least knowledge and manner and everything, how to portray or uh, take forward rights or even something injustice. So the question is, how do we uh, go for youth empowerment through research? um, I assume this question is how youth can involve in research and contribute or bring change, if I
mhm,
get the question correctly.
mhm,
So in this case, we have to always have youth inclusion, right?
mhm,
Inclusion in discussions, inclusion in research activity. Like
mhm,
even lot of like even university has projects, and then or on specific issues. Like for example, I mean, I'm not like promoting myself, but I'm just saying that I'm a type of person who would go for interesting project rather than just for any research. Uh,
mhm,
let's say in my master's, right, I had interest on working on educational inclusion.
mhm,
So I just approached a professor that I'm interested on this topic. If you have anything on social impact financing for education, I'm interested to work for that. So there's a project I got. I mean, I enrolled as a research assistant during my master studies because I really like the topic and I want to work on education so that especially underprivileged one who does not have that privilege in terms of getting quality education. So how social impact financing can help. So in this way, how you as a youth can feel empowered is, one is definitely your knowledge would increase, uh, your skill would increase, and then you will also feel you have a voice or you can contribute to this knowledge input, and that can be also like implemented by bank or industries as even if it's a CSR project, right? I And for example, like you can also, like there are a lot of way that you can contribute, but what youth should be doing is they have to come forward and they have to be sincere what they want to do. And it's always like you can always learn, unlearn, relearn. Everything is within the process, but what you need to be is like you have to be dedicated, and you just have to come forward, because I have seen like even uh, if even if you don't have much of a capacity, but the moment when lecturers even see you being dedicated and asking for research projects, or you are willing to learn, even though you're not assigned as a RA, but you go to the like uh, research activities, research clubs. There are a lot of postgraduate university where research clubs are there, so if you join, from there you can get opportunity. But on this sense, youth are the ones should be like coming forward on their own, because this is a world, it's very unlikely people would push you. You should be the one grabbing the opportunity to explore and to enhance your skill. So
mhm.
this is what I believe that research can also uh, help you as to grow as a person. At the same time also can give you a strength that your research can contribute to social development.
Excellent. We have our friends. He is actually running a think tank, TAFFDs. They are doing fantastic works. I think they have a collaborations with around the world. My friend Oshnakachi. So you are a part of think tank. What does youth empowerment mean for you? And then actually, how do you want to define youth empowerments? And especially you and your team doing fantastic job from Africa with around the world. So so you have very good engagement with the youth community. So how do you want to define? How do you want to explain?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Um, the the notion of youth empowerment has to do with giving our youth equal opportunity, and it has to boil down to respecting the human dignity, quality, freedom, and if it's in a democratic nation, uh, helping the youth to reap the dividends of democracy, and that's what it means to. That's what it means when you talk about the youth empowerment, and these are the basics. That's what informs the youth to gain that consciousness and awareness, and you cannot assert yourself when you don't have a favorable environment, and that's what we're pushing. And this favorable environment create rooms for what? The respect of human dignity. And anything, when you talk about empowerment, it boils down to uh, the respect of the human person. So if you don't have this sense of reference, respect to anybody, you cannot empower the person. We know that Africa, we have an age when it comes to the youth, the population of the youth. And the youths are the hope of the future. If you don't empower the youth, you are endangering the future. So empowering the youth means preparing for tomorrow, preparing for the future, because the youths, they are like the gateway to the future. They are between here and they're between the present and the future. When you focus on those who, okay. So when you focus on those who've arrived, you make mistakes in life. So the youths are like the gateway between the former and the future, because they've shared experience with the elderly ones, and they'll transmit this experience and through forecasting. That's why, because you need to have foresight, and that's why empowering the youth boils down to education, because you need to also lead them out of ignorance. So if you want to empower the youth, you first of all educate them, tell them, teach them, allow them know where their direction, the area of interest. And in a world that is complex, faced with technological complexity, as people are inventing technological dystopia, people need to really know their area of strength. So if you know your area of strength, you learn through, not just mastering, you learn through, because exponential growth has shown that things changes every minute. Ideas changes every minute. People pump in ideas, people pump in experiences. As we are diverse, thanks. I'm grateful for the invention of technology, invention of things like StreamYard. And Mr. Sharif, you have been working hard, bringing people from all backgrounds, bringing people from all walks of life. It's not easy. We share experience. And if we have this sense that the youth are the future of tomorrow, youth should also have this sense of cultural tolerance, this sense of religious tolerance, because when we don't put this bias in our mind, we'll be able to learn very well. That's the importance of education. When we are educated, we let go all the barriers, all those things that will make us not to understand ourselves better as we see. So that's my own understanding. That's my perspective when I talk about youth empowerment. It's all about educational empowerment, empowerment of the mind. When the mind is not empowered, the physical body will act in contradistinction to natural laws and principles. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. Excellent. Mr. Logan, what do you want to say about youth empowerment? Now you are in USA. What's the USA context?
Um, to me, the biggest step in the US for empowering youth would have to be creating a platform where youth can be heard in politics, and in specifically in politics that affects them directly. In Colorado right now, there's a bill going through that it's supposed to, and I'm not on 100% all the details on it, but it's supposed to increase funding for education by banning and more regulating vaping. And so when I say make a platform that includes the youth, we know as youth that regulated products of vaping don't hurt youth. Necessarily, they're not the cause of why youth are dying from these products or being injured from these products. And banning them is only going to make the youth that use them use a more dangerous version of the product. So when you're coming through with the research saying this product kills this, is it really the youth being represented, or is it the opinions of our parents that are concerned for our health? And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but we need to include youth in both the research, the platform that you're going on. We need to hear their opinions on, do we really need to fund education by hurting a industry? Are we really empowering youth by telling them what they can and can't do at such a young age? And is it going to negatively impact their education when you are relying when you're basing the income of their education on something that they, not necessarily all youth, but that part of the youth want to enjoy doing necessarily? I don't know. I think the most common factor here is we don't see a huge, especially in America, we don't see a huge love for youth opinions. People don't like hearing our young and quote unquote just I'm having a hard time thinking of the words, but the youth in America aren't taken seriously in a sense. They're like, oh, you do this, so you obviously couldn't have an opinion on these things. You vape, you couldn't have an opinion on education. You smoke marijuana, you couldn't have an opinion on education. When in reality, these things don't really affect it's not empowering them, it's doing the exact opposite. It's putting them down in like a hole, where now the youth who might not have studied these things or don't know or have a formulated opinion on these things are now scared to voice their opinions because how I was told since I vape, I don't have an opinion on this bill that's going to affect my education. And I think it's a big thing to let students have a say on their education, because it's a different world than it was when my father was in school. And I think that would be the first step in including youth in the research, is actually getting their opinions, not just going to the hospital and seeing how many kids have been admitted for vaping, or going to the school and asking the teachers how many kids you see doing it. They should go directly to the youth, and it's not hard. The youth aren't a very hard group to get a hold of. Go to your local parks, go on TikTok, actually reach out to them and want their opinions in the research. I think that should be the biggest step, at least in America, for empowering the youth here, especially in the research aspect of it. Teaching kids to properly use the scientific method in day-to-day life empowers them. Teaching them how to empathize with their neighbor empowers them. And all these things are kind of missing now because of COVID. They can't communicate with their neighbors directly. they're cooped up in their rooms.
Mhm.
They can't actively participate in any kind of group activities, mano y mano.
Mhm.
And this is all hurting the youth instead of empowering them like we want.
Okay. Okay. I want to go for another question from audience. Okay, Abiyaz Mustain, hello youths. What are the major ways for developing international level participation in youth community development? I want to start from Sharmin.
Okay, thank you. So the question is, what are the major ways for developing international level participation in youth community development? Um, there are a lot of fellowship exists on an international level for youth. If I name it, like there's a UNESCO youth program, and then there's something called Youth Space Initiative, and then World YMCA. So these are the some programs that assigned for youth. So if you want to if youth want to participate, right, so they just have to keep an eye when this fellowship opens, and then they need to apply. And in terms of criteria, it's not really very difficult for people to get in. Sometimes even they also include bring diversity. They also include like from different countries. So sometimes even if we like one or two people apply from, let's say, in Bangladesh, so they need a representation of specific country. So even though you might be thinking that you are less of a qualified than other competitor who are fighting for that fellowship in that youth program, you may still get it. Because of the representation of a country is also important, and because of the development agenda they have. So in this level, I would say search for those fellowship that you can get. You can always enroll for it, apply for it, go for these leadership programs, and by doing so, you'll also have like international exposure, and making friends, making connections. That will also help you when it comes to youth development, because youth can bring like change. Even history shows that as well. So it's important always to create that connection. And through participating these international fellow programs, it can be within your field. Like there are field for education fellowship. Like you can go and teach underprivileged one, and then also there are fellowship for medical per se. Like if I'm not mistaken, there is one NGO that I know. It's a Thailand-based NGO. It's called Equity Initiative. They have a fellowship, and their fellowship is for medical. It's like equal support to for medical support all over the world, or something like that, along that line. So there's a fellowship also can be within your field, even if it's not within your field, but it could be like some social cause base that you can always go and apply for. So yeah, that's why you can increase your international participation.
Yes. Thank you. My dear friend, Mr. Oshnakati, what do you want to add about this? Uh, about this, how youth can get more international opportunity. Besides that, you also run an NGO, and your NGO actually doing a very good job. You are empowering youth community. Not only youth, actually, you have a highly resourceful participations under your organization. What do you want to share about your organizations? And as you are think tank, and most important thing is that how actually youth can get benefit from your organization. Even example, World Talent Economy Forums, we are very much focused on youth community. So but we also love to participate in that way. Yes.
So, sorry, the question is not about empowering youth. What are you empowering the youth for?
Mhm.
You can't empower the youth with 20th century mentality, and when you have leaders that existed in the analog age, and they are still leaders in the digital age. So the question is, what are you empowering the youth with? So it's not about just empowering the youth. It's like, for instance, in Nigeria, see some politicians that are still empowering youth with hoes and things like wheelbarrows and knives and all that. You're not helping them to think. So when you empower people with the right thing, it helps them, it guides the way they think. So let's look at where we are and what the World Economic Forum availed for us. So, fourth industrial revolution. That's
Mm.
where we need to be thinking. And one of the 6-month plan unveiled by the president of TAFS, Tom Rose, is to build a gateway, use TAFS to build a gateway in and out of Africa. There's no bias. That's why when we are educated, we remove all forms of bias, be it religious or race through racism and all that. So people see, for instance, they see Latin Americans uh, uh, as drug dealers. So they see Africans as fraudsters. But that doesn't mean that we don't have good people from all these parts of the world. So you need to also have, because your interpretation of reality depends on your definition of reality. So how you define people informs and guide you towards your approach, how you relate with them. So the first thing that we need to know is we need to look at the inclusion, the categorization of youths. So I did an outline here. Say, first of all, we need to know that youths, we have youths who are in high school and colleges. We have out of school youths. We have youths with disabilities. We have youths who engages in crime and all forms of delinquency. We have youths who are involved in conflict situation, like Shamai, is that her name? She said, yes. Sorry if I did pronounce your name
It's
wrongly.
okay, I understand.
Okay, Shamai did said that if you go to the international body, we have categorization, we have specialty, you need to belong, yeah, to a specific group, because we can't know you, we can't know every youth. So if when you belong to groups that we have identify you to be involved in this area or that area. So, but we need to have this openness of mind. For us to thrive, first of all, we must have this basic cultural, religious tolerance. We must have this sense of that we are from same species and we are from the earth family. So species, the human species, and the family. That's where we exist. So when we have that mentality, it informs us. It informs our approach towards the order. Like since I met Sharif, I've been treating me like a brother. Sometimes, if you want to argue, say, okay, what? How do you want us to do it? That's the sense of tolerance. So when we have this idea, it informs us. Now we now move to how we can empower the youth globally. Now, you have your area of strength. I have my area of strength. We need to come together. The youth must learn how to join forces together. And when we join forces together, we share with others what they don't have. And that brings about the sense of collaboration. So if the youth comes together, they collaborate. And if they collaborate, they find simplified model of solving their problem, the societal problem, because the challenges of the youth is that we don't have resources to do what we want to do. So since we don't have that resources, we need to collaborate and do value-based transaction.
Mhm.
So I have an idea. You are a good presenter. Shamin is a good web designer,
Mhm.
and Joshua is a good content creator. We formed an organization. So we now look for the way, the little resources that we have, put things together, because the first thing is to identify a problem. Solving it is another thing. So these are the things that we need to do. Learn how to join forces. The spirit of collaboration is very strong. And once we can do this, you will see the youth growing. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. My friend Logan, what do you want to add for today's youth discussions?
Um, I had just one really big thought, and to me the biggest way to gain. So I'm just gonna reiterate the question a little bit. The biggest way to gain an international participation in the youth community, in my thoughts and views, is to, in America at least, teach the kids to be empathetic towards people in other countries, because it's real easy in America to see past the bad in other countries and just ignore it. And when your youth aren't really educated on what empathy really is and how to really feel what other people are feeling over in, say, um, I don't know, India, Bangladesh, we have a completely different issues here. They're not. Our youth are kind of, I don't know, apathetic towards. And I'm going to say this: we have the migrants coming in from Mexico, and they're sitting in cages. People can. Our youth empathize with those kids. If they did, that wouldn't be as much of an issue. It would increase their participation. It would bring an emotion to them to help and to participate, instead of kind of the view of, well, it doesn't affect me, so I'm just going to sit back in my corner and ignore it. I also think that offering interesting programs here in America to kids, because it's really hard to gain the interest of, like our friend here said, it's really hard to gain the interest of 21st century mindset youth, because there's so many things that are interesting in the world. And if you want to gain the youth, you really have to grab their attention, because there's going to be 10 other things that are going to also grab their attention, that are going to get to the bottom that are going to skyrocket to the top of their list. And then all of a sudden, the participation level in the youth is going down, because they have, I'm gonna say this, they have TikTok to watch, or they have videos that are funny of people dancing, and now all of a sudden they really just don't care about international problems. So I think it's a lot about teaching kids to be empathetic towards their international brothers and sisters.
Thank you. Joshua, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, actually, we are really interested to know about your project. Yes, really, we want to see your project. Can you help us? Dear audience, actually, Joshua is one of the talented guy from Nigeria, and he built up a robotics projects. Many times he tried to share with me. So I think, why don't he come to the show and discuss with us? This is called youth empowerment. Maybe from the one of the I think Oshnakachi, you know Joshua?
Yeah, we
Yes.
we met at the streets of Facebook. So I don't know. I think he's doing something that is great, and I've not discussed with him deeply. You know how busy my schedule is. I'm busy with a lot of things, and with
Hello.
magazine conference and everything coming up, and with South Africa registration, South Africa, and a lot of things on my table. And hopefully, we'll have time to meet face to face to
Joshua,
discuss some of this.
you sorry, Oshnakachi, sorry, Joshua, you just share your projects. Oshnakachi help you to describe, because Oshnakachi has better internet connections. You just share your project with us. I think Oshnakachi can help you. Can you help me, Oshnakachi, that as you know him, just yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Yes, please.
So I suggest
Joshua.
that he makes the explanation on the charts.
Mhm.
Then we can look at it and understand what he is availing for us.
Mhm, mhm. Yes, yes, yes. Excellent, excellent. So basically that is. Oshnakati, can you unmute yourself?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, thank you. No, that is one of the things, like youth empowerment. We have to support youth for their innovations. You have to support youth for their job, for their projects. So I request to everyone from World Talent Economy Forum, we have connections around 122 countries right now. So those who are observing this kind of project, I'm requesting you, you should involve with this kind of project, because he several time requesting me that he has a very interesting things, but I know due to internet issues and other things, maybe Joshua, you want to say something? Joshua, you want to say something?
Um, yeah, I want to say something. Yeah,
Okay, I'm really sorry, due to poor internet connections, maybe.
Well,
Okay,
I
yes,
think
Oscar.
I think what Joshua is doing is very requires support, and this is
Mhm,
what is happening because when you talk about the traditional educational model, you need to not to write up the vocational training and let's say the inventive society. So those that invent are the innovative one. So the inventors should be encouraged because the youths don't really they don't really have the resources like I said. Because spark of idea requires monetary support, and that's why I go by the idea of crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is also a very good tool of empowerment, through crowdfunding where you have, that's why most people don't really find it difficult to scale to in third world countries. People are not moved by ideas. They are moved by business proposals that's already existing. And for instance, if Joshua write a proposal of cash support to the bank, I bet Nigerian bank will support him. No big man will say, "Oh, I want to take up this project." But those that understand the value should make a plan to fund this thing through crowdfunding. We also know that in the third world countries, those who have certain level of consciousness are few, just few. So the minority, but if the minority join forces together, something could come out of it.
mhm,
So he needs our support, he needs our awareness, and that's the awareness campaign that Sharif is doing here now, giving him the platform to showcase. That's the way the World Talent Economic Forum is supporting Joshua in what he's doing. So we all need to do things like this in our area of functioning because we are all leaders in our area of functioning. We need
mhm.
to support each other, promote what we do, so that at the end we see something that is visible that will help in making our society not just an inventive but also an innovating society.
Thank you. Sharmin, I want to ask you a question, like, what do you want to suggest about this kind of innovations? What your advice, even how education can adopt this kind of innovations? Even World Talent Economy Forums, we do a lot of work with different Ivy League universities and others universities, and we find everybody actually claiming that we need to reform our educations. We need to be more industry focus on more industry driven education. What your idea, what your thought, what do you want to share with us? Can you please unmute yourself?
Okay, I do agree that it's important to have an educational revolution, maybe. Um, And it's true that our current education system does not promote innovation much, especially like it's a system when you want to try something creative, something unknown, even sometimes to get support from your supervisors or even from your lecturers or even from the education system, it's hard. That's where problem comes in, because to have something new is it always should be encouraged. It may turns out to be a successful one, or even it might be a failure, but that failure teach you something that you learn from it, so that you in your next project that you could have, you could have planned it earlier better, that what are the practical challenges will come later on that will be harmful. So current education system does not encourage it. It's like you go in a system which is easy uh, to go and easy to follow rather than challenging. But I do understand as well, especially in this current 21st centuries, we have seen a lot of think tank and then a lot of innovation startups coming up, right? So these startups, it's a lot of youth are also coming up with this kind of project, like even for Joshua, right? He's having a robotic innovation that uh, is a startup itself. So if he can get support, then definitely he can take it to the next level and can benefit the society as a whole. So education system, definitely should be a lot of vocational practical stuff should be in the education system, rather than like the way we generally go on learning, sitting for exams, and even the assignments we do sometimes that may not be at the par. So that's why after graduation, when youths are got into the industry sector, it's harder for them to cope up, because a lot of things that they learn they need to unlearn, and they can't apply those, because the things they learn, it's unapplicable. You cannot apply those. So probably that's why the education system should be revised, or include those industry based probably exercises or knowledge practices, assignments that can reflect the reality in the industry challenges that can help. And innovation should always be encouraged, right? From the school. It even school should also because whatever you do in this life, it requires funding. So sometimes even university can also like you have a budget, you have budget for conference, you have budget for other stuff as well. So probably technological, sending your students to a robotics competition, right? Even if it's a small thing, that can encourage other school students also to go and participate. When you visit, these are the culture that should be inculcated, and university should have budget to budget for this innovation and creativity to take place.
Thank you. Uh, my friend Logans, I want to know something about, because you are from nursing backgrounds. So this kind of vocational education and this kind of skilled people is very important right now, in especially in the COVID periods. How do you want to share your experience with us? And one point, Joshua, like as we cannot, we are observing you. Can you please share your project with us? Your my friend Oshnakachi will explain about these things. Don't worry. You just share your project with us. And sorry, Mr. Logan. Yeah.
You're right. Can you reiterate the initial question too, just so I can get my thoughts in a
Yes, no, it's basically we are discussing about innovations in the education industry. We are focusing on that. Beside that, as you are from nursing backgrounds, how do you want to give some of your personal experience, how people can grow their career in the nursing and this field?
yeah. So my when I first started working at the job I did, they offered a program where it allowed employees to gain their CNA license by putting in hours at our job and just doing these courses while working. So it'd be like a paid internship type deal. I think if more companies would offer almost an internship deal like that, where they can get the experience, not necessarily the degree or anything to that matter, but the experience. Because I see like almost like a shift in our world where, in the age of information, where a degree doesn't necessarily mean you're qualified. A lot of it is experience too. You need the 10 to 15 years of experience before you can gain any kind of reputation in the field that's worth something to, say, someone who's been in the field and a corporation that really wants good, knowledgeable workers. And in the nursing, experience is valued a lot, because you can have all the vocational education, but if you don't know if you're not experienced with patients, and I work at a nursing home, so if you're not experienced with like dementia residents, your vocational education doesn't really matter, because they're way different than what you're going to be taught. The experience is going to teach you things that you wouldn't be taught in a textbook. So I think the hands-on, especially for our youth, is a great way to further our youth's education and their ability to join markets where they want to be at, to better themselves. I think our education, at least in America, is too focused on having us go to college after high school. Go to college, get the degree. And my sister, who's a millennial, she could probably attest to this. That degree didn't help her get where she's at. You know, she has the degree, but she still needs the experience to get a job in the field she wants. And she hasn't been able to find a job that will give her that experience. So it's kind of like a paradox for many youth coming up in our world, and they see it early, because it's not a new thing here in America, where they've been pushing to go get your diploma, go get your degree, and then you get out in the real world and the market says, well, you need 5 years of experience to use that degree. So yeah, that I think we need to focus on giving the hands-on experience to youth that just have like not give the hands-on experience to youth that are getting the degree at the same time. Like it needs to be, they need to go together. I guess you need to give them the education and the experience, or else they're just going to be 30 years old, not being able to work in the field that they've been dreaming about, because they haven't been able to find any work in that field, but they have a PhD in the field.
Okay. Thank you. I want to take a last question, because there is a huge response from audience from different country, from Europe, from North America, from South Asia. Even Oshnakachi, actually, he has a huge audience even. Anyway, so I want to take these questions. In terms of youth transitions, can we think of identifying talent youth and designing a positive youth development model in South Asian countries? So, yes, Oshnakachi, I want to start from you and then Sharmi.
Well, first of all, before I attend the question, I would like to just look into what the most recent discussions of the UN, that was on 1st October, 2020, organized by the UN Department of Economics and Social Affairs for the Youth. So the topic discussed was global navigating uncertainties and intergenerational dialogue on COVID-19 and youth employment vis-a-vis youth policies. And that is what we are talking. And so if we want to look at it this way, there are questions that was raised by the UN, and it will help in answering the question that you just asked. They say, how is the COVID affecting youth employment and policies? One. And number two, how are the youth thinking about the future in the short, medium, and long term? So we've also talked about, which was embellished by Shamin, talked about educating the youth, raising the level of consciousness. And for the youth, because there is a model of learning that is very essential in the 21st century. The traditional model of learning is not very much acceptable as such. So we need to have a broader knowledge of reality. Approach towards reality should be inclusive. It should be an integral there should be an integral approach towards learning, and youth should be involved. Youth
Mhm.
should be involved in policy making. Like Sarita Sharma just wrote in my comment board, he said that youth should be involved, because if the youths are not involved in the policy making, they won't understand the implication and approaches that are involved in this policy, either the implementation or the making. So if you get people involved in something, they'll have knowledge about it and model of application. So when they said intergenerational, it means it's not all about the present youth, because any policy that is being made now should be not just for this present generation but the future generation. Because it's just like logic. If the first premise is not correct, I don't think that the conclusion will be. So just as every society that don't have good government, good policy makers, Sharif, you are an economist. Without a good policy, we won't have effective and efficient economic flow. So it's something that is holistic. So the economic process of every country should be channeled towards a specific vision. So the vision should guide. Like I said,
Yes, I think we miss Oshnakati. So I think Sharmin, if you add something for this youth policy and when Oshnakati come, yes, please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Okay. I think the question was about how do we design a
Mm,
program for youth participation in Southeast Asian country, if I'm
mhm,
not mistaken. That's what the question is about. Um, in terms of designing program, right? What I could see is who will be
mhm,
the one design this program. Um, it's the youth themselves, right? There should be something like, even if you see how Oxford, Cambridge, they have their policy discussion forum, right? Where they invite and then they caution straight right away to politicians and to, economists. So there should be open discourse system where it can be like any forum or a organized forum system where youth can go and participate. And I also feel this kind of program should be designed in a way that its one objective is about policy discussions. Policies like education, policies like poverty, policies like those core issues that affect everyone in that country. And this discussion is important because this discussion is like it's a first step to bring change, because the moment when you start this discussion, that's when we start questioning that why the education that in a city is much more better quality exposure or learning compared to someone in rural area because of the resources scarcity. So the moment when you ask, raise these issues, that's when the solution will come. And I think also it could be also if this forum can be organized in a way that you can also invite politicians to, participate and host programs where, you can ask questions, and that's where this discourse will eventually giving a scope for the people to realize where the problem lies. And also it will bring scope for you to discuss about solution. What could be the possible solution that we can come up with? So this kind of forum, organized way, and which should be always promote tolerance and respects, even though it's like different political party involves or participate or in this discussion, but it can always have an ultimate objective is to solve a real cause rather than fighting over which party and whatnot, right? This only can be done like through providing a proper platform for policy discussions. And this can be done even from our side as well, like we can accumulate. It can be even internet makes it much more easier. A lot of policy discussion can even take place through uh, internet, especially during COVID time. I have even attended some of the policy discussions from my back home regarding a lot of issues actually, cyber security, and then law reformation when it comes to rape and then the incident that are happening in Bangladesh. So this can be done actually. Just we need the willingness and work towards a particular goal than just being dismissive of blaming each other on different political parties or different ideologies. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Basically, World Talent Economy Forums want to invite talent people like you, even from the global arena, as a political party, and those who are very expert of science, technology, and innovations. Transhumanist Party, they are also involved with different kind of policy discussions with us, even from White House, even from different think tank like TAF, FDS, and everybody actually for policy discussion, they're joining with us. So I request everyone, World Talent Economy Forums, we have our YouTube channel WT Forums. You can find many global think tank from North America to Africa to Asia, everywhere we are trying to add everyone. So as much as possible, we want to add them. Oshnakati, yes, I think, yes.
Okay. So what I was saying before the internet started misbehaving is that after the sorry, Sharon, it's after the policy integrations that I just mentioned about educating the youth and the issue of the COVID, that the youth should also start joining politics seriously. Because some countries will say it's not for the youth, that they need people with experience. And with that experience, we've not been seeing some sort of change. So this is the age. Like most of the youths don't, most of the old politicians don't even understand contemporaneous economic policies. And if you are pushed at the corner as a youth to just be an exe, most of the time they don't take your policy because it doesn't favor them. And most people, they are not for the people, or they think is for themselves. They want to project themselves. And I've seen that as a leader. I've seen that where I've worked, and people don't even think about the human. So the most important thing is that the youth also should understand the personness in their youth. That's all. The only thing that is important is the human dignity. So we also need to understand that life is the chief value, that any policy that is being implemented that is against the human life is a wrong policy. So the youth also should get involved because they understand the technology that they need. They understand what is wrong, because wrong policies affect the youth the most. So the youth should understand, because they should understand what they want and think out how to approach it by getting involved in the game. Because if you are not inside, you will not know what is happening inside. So you need to get involved for you to help in the policy, to be part of the policy process and implementation. So thank you.
Yes, I want to take the last questions, and I want to directly go for the concluding remarks. The last questions like this, Araf Meraz, do you think goal setting is important for a youth? In 21st century, which kind of goal should be set for the preparing himself? So yes, I want to start from Sharmin, then my friend Logan's. If Joshua want to add something, if his internet connection is good, then I directly will go for Oshnakati for the concluding remarks. So how youth community can set their goals and how they can prepare themselves. Sharmin, and what's your concluding remarks for today? Please unmute yourself. Sharmin.
Okay. Uh, Pardon, I didn't get you. Is it a concluding remarks
Yes,
that you
concluding remarks
want
that
me to
how,
do,
yes,
or is it a question?
question that they want to know how youth can set their goal in 21st century,
Okay.
in present situations, and what's the
Okay.
concluding remarks as well for today's session. Yeah.
Okay. For me, goal is always should come from you, within you, right? It not necessarily should be coming, just being within your field, getting a job and affecting, I don't know, being in a position of a CEO of a company, or even in being a, managerial position. But what goal should be that how do we make our life better? So it's not only me, but the people around us, the youth that we are. So with that goal, right, we have also seen, like how you come up with innovative ideas and contribute back to the society. Even if you like just go for some social activity and volunteer yourself to teaching in a refugee school, so you are making someone's life better. So this goal it should come within us. It cannot be set by others, and you have to feel it, that this is what you want and this is what give you peace and this is what makes you happy. um, uh, if it's bring even change to one person's life, that can be an achievement itself. So I won't say like, okay, goal setting should always comes in a formula, like this is what I'm going to do step by step, but it should always have a direction, that this is what I want to be, this is where I'm leading. And then you can also make it like, break it down. Okay, let's say now I'm at this age in this school, what I can do or contribute at my stage, even if it's like a very simple stuff. So we take it one at a step and move towards a bigger goal. um, as a concluding remarks, I think it was interesting discussion, because we do discuss a lot about youth problem and how do we include youths in policy making, and then how we can, increase youth exposure to international level, from their own personal growth and development to contributing back to the society. So it's kind of a holistic, discussion for youth community. So yeah, that's it.
Yes, thank you. Logan, what do you want to add as concluding remarks? Yes.
Let's see. Um, to expand kind of on what Sharman said on the goals, my closing remarks would, I want to mention how goal setting, at least in America specifically, you need to open your mind and open your prospects as a youth. Don't just set goals in one specific path. It's okay to set multiple goals. It's okay to set multiple daily goals, multiple yearly goals. Not, you don't need to just follow one. We're multidimensional. We can think outside the box. You don't need to limit yourself to just your like the goals that suit you specifically. Kind of look other directions when you're setting your goals. And what I mean by that is, when say you're youth and you've been interested in nursing your whole life, but you're having a hard time reaching those goals, it's not bad to set goals, and maybe you want to uh, get your life insurance sales certificate, or maybe you want to set a goal and you want to invest so much into the stock market, or maybe um, you should keep your goals open. and yes, and to say you should set your goals in a way that they contribute back to not only your community but to the world, and that has to go back on the empathy I mentioned earlier. When you have a mindset where you're empathizing with your international brothers and sisters, your goals will naturally kind of gear towards that. Um,
Oh,
and yeah,
yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Joshua, you want to add something? Joshua, can you unmute yourself? Okay. I directly want to go to Oshnakathi. I think that he has internet issues. So Oshnakathi, what do you want to say about how youth can set their goal and what the concluding remarks for today's session?
Okay, thank you, Sharif, for that wonderful opportunity. I would like to start by saying that, that when you want to set a goal, you need to have in mind the end result, because that is what guides you in your cardinal plans and principles that will help you in achieving your goal. So the end result should be in your mind. And that doesn't mean, I don't want to be misinterpreted as a philosopher, because when I said you should focus on the end result, I don't mean the end justifying the means. I'm not a Machiavellian. So what I mean is that it should be structural, and it should help. You should have a clear understanding of what you want to achieve. When you have a clear understanding of what you want to achieve, you learn the process. So you need a kind of collaboration. You understand, which I've said earlier. So if you have that collaboration, you now get people who are experts in different areas. That is diverse knowledge, diverse experience. And when value meets value, growth takes place. So if you join forces together like this, it will help you in developing both a long and short-term goal. So it should be defined, and everyone who is involved in this process should also understand when changes are taking place, when new policies are coming in, and when swift measures are to take place. So if we follow this model, growth will definitely take place, and that's result-oriented goal taking. Now, I'll conclude by saying that this program is just like a motivational therapy, a kind of a consciousness to raise the consciousness in the minds of the youth, a clarion call for the youth to be involved in policy implementation, development, and execution. And for them to join this, they should get involved in politics. You can't be talking about implementation, you can't be talking about policies without getting involved in the game. That's why my friend, one of my friends, Ugo Chukwu, he's doing well in politics, and he's understanding the processes involved. He's understanding the rigors, because if you don't know how to play your card, you won't win. So it is when you get involved that you know how to get involved in the policy implementation, execution, and processes. So I urge the youths to join, get involved in politics, get involved in policy implementations, come together, have a better pressure groups, good visions, and everything that will help them to reach the greater heights. Because the youth are the hope of every society, they are the future of every society. They should learn the process. Every youth should be a foresight, have time to think, reflective thinking that will help in molding and building a better society. Violence is not the answer. Joining, taking a illicit drug is not the answer. but the only way is education. Education must not be the traditional education. They should get involved in vocational learning and all that. We do this, we'll have a better society. Thank you so much.
Mhm. Thank you. Joshua, you want to add something? You want to say something?
On my from Nigeria said on this stuff. So I have daily meeting, but today I'm going to do this. Tomorrow I'm going to do that. So with that timetable, I want to follow most of what I'm doing. I just keep away from friends and people who add no value to me, and that has been helping me a lot in my field.
Mhm. Thank you,
So
Joshua.
started
Thank you, Joshua. Joshua, thank you for joining with us. Uh, yes, actually, World Talent Economy Forums, we come up with the youth policy discussion today. Actually, Sharmin, Logan, Oshnakachi, Joshua, they come up with the different points. Joshua has his projects. Sharmin and Oshnakachi come up with a different idea of policy, how we can solve different kind of problems, how we can focus on better educations, innovations in education system is required, and most important thing is that we need a better policy and we need to work together, government, different NGO, different corporations and different countries. We need to work together. This is our objective. World Talent Economy Forums, we have our research organization, Asia Research and Development Institute, and we have our development partner, Al Noor Academy Sarhadia Barhat. With the collaborations of the global community like uh, Ushna Kachi, and they are doing fantastic job. Sharmin also doing fantastic jobs. Logans and Joshua, everybody. So those who are young people, we want to invite you all. And your opinion is very important. Your thought is important. Without your opinion, without your collaboration, what Oshnakachi actually said, that maybe someone is good in web development, someone good in content development, someone good in research, someone good in adding some values in between our community. This is very important. We have to work together, we have to collaborate together. This is the way that we can improve ourselves. Thank you everyone. This is actually very excellent sessions. Especially I want to give thanks from audience, those who come up with the very good questions, and audience actually join from different countries from around the world. I really want to give them thanks because you are our strength, you are our valuable point where we can share our valuable discussions. So thank you everyone for joining today. It's really very good discussion. Thank you Oshnakachi, thank you Sharmin, thank you Logan, and thank you Joshua. Oshnakachi, you want to add anything? Can you
No,
unmute yourself?
I'm grateful.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Okay, thank you.
grateful.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Charmaine. With a short notice, you joined with us. You are excellent, and people, you come up with always a very good idea. And Oshnakachi, thank you for valuable time and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, bye. Thank you. Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you, everyone.